Hey, good morning, guys, and welcome to another episode of Father's Fire. My name's Jody Cedric, and every week we get together to explore the joys, the challenges, the triumphs, the sorrows, and yes, the fun of being a dad. And I'm super excited today because we're going to talk about adventure and ability. And I have a phenomenal guest that's going to be joining me. His name is Ryan Grassley from Extreme Motus. And you know, of course, before we get into the topic of the day, we're brought to you by the Speakfire family and Rethinking Rich. You got to reach out to Julian because I'm telling you, he's making you rethink how you manage your money. So you got to check him out. That's Rethinking Rich. And plus, he's a great guy and he's going to help you and your family get things set right. So anyway, well, good day to you, Ryan. I'm super, super honored to have you on Father's Fire. Welcome.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I'm looking forward to our chat.
Yeah, so Ryan, just so you guys know that are listening or watching, I met Ryan via TikTok. And he has a phenomenal TikTok channel. What's the handle there, Ryan?
It's at Extreme Motus. You can look us up there, and we've had a lot of success on TikTok, especially lately, because our videos are not copies of other dances. They're not protest videos. I understand those are important, but our videos are just about people having fun and being happy. And my partner in those videos is a guy named Sam. He's 36, and a lot of people mistake me for Sam's father. But Sam,
that's what I did.
Right. That's why I'm on the show today. Actually have a 3-year-old son who is also named Sam, whom I named after my friend Sam, who's in the wheelchair in those videos. So Sam laughs harder than anybody you've ever met. So hard that we worry that we may have to take him to the hospital because he's laughing so hard.
His heart's going to explode from joy.
Yeah, he has a very contagious laugh, and if you go and flip through some of those TikToks, you'll understand what I mean.
Yeah, it's really, really engaging, and I would invite every one of you, even if you're not on TikTok, go download the app just to watch, Ryan and his friend Sam, because, they have this really cool chair that you guys have developed that basically makes the disabled from being able to move around typically to really expose them to adventure and outdoors. I mean, it is next level chair. And I love it because, and the one that I really love this week is you're pushing your friend Sam in this chair and you come up to a bridge and he's like, no, I'm afraid of bridges. So you guys go down the hill underneath the bridge and then traverse across
through the river,
and then back up. And the thing that's so catching about it is, one, the chair is absolutely amazing. I mean, it looks like you're not even struggling to push the chair and push Sam around. But what's just so engaging and so fun is watching the utter joy on Sam's face being outdoors.
Yeah, Sam, it's the joy. I mean, everybody's happier when they go outside, right? I work in my office basement, and if I'm here too long, I start to have a bad day. But if on the days where I go with Sam and we make a video, I'm much happier. So it's being outside, but it's just being included in something that he would normally be left out of, like a hike like that. So that inclusion really makes a person's day who normally would just have to stay home or sit in the van with his mom while the other half of the family goes on a hike. So we like to say that nature is wheelchair accessible with this chair, and it's a manual chair. You have to push it, but anywhere you're strong enough to push it, it can go.
And I like that word inclusion. I love that you said that word inclusion, because I think, and you were sharing off camera, the first experience that Sam and his mom had, when you guys were doing the
Delicate Arch.
Thank you. The Delicate Arch, and that experience, because I've been down there and I know what that hike's like. And to be able to include him with the family, That
Yeah.
must have been utter joy for everybody.
Yeah, that was like a life-changing moment. It's one of the, I didn't work full time for the company yet, but when we got to the top, we got to Delicate Arch, Sam's family had been there before, and his older brother and his dad went on the hike, and he and his mom sat in a van. And I was like, let's go back there and get revenge on that trip because Sam got excluded. And so we hike up there and we got to the top, and Sam thought it was really cool, but his mom started crying, and I'm holding the camera and I start crying, and strangers that we had met on the trail, because there's a very long, steep section.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out how we were going to get up that. We had some ropes, and these people were like, hey, do y'all need some help? And so we said yes. And so they stayed with us all the way to the top, and all the way back down with us. And we went for pizza together later. They were crying. Like, it was a really touching moment to see how it's just a chair, but how it can unite families in a way that they've never been able to be together before. So that's when I was like, okay, I need to come work for this company full time. That was a life-changing moment.
You know, you said it was just a chair, but it really was family enjoying time together and everybody being able to be included. And I think, you know, as I look at, you know, my past experience with people that are different abled, you know, my really good friend Mike, when I went to college, he's blind, and he just had this fearless attitude of wanting to be included. And I mean, we would play basketball and he'd say, throw me the ball. I'm like, what do you mean throw you the ball? He goes, just throw me the ball and I'll catch it, you know? And I'm just thinking in my head, oh no, how's he going to get it? But he would inevitably figure out in his kind of clumsy way after it hit his chest, figure out how to hold it. But he would have so much joy in being part of us. And I think that's one of the things that really attracted me to having you on board, because I think a lot of times we as families are trying to figure out how to teach our children how to include people that are differently able than we are, or, you know, have different capacities. So, you know, you have 2 kids. How have you bridged that discussion? And I think it's probably easier for you because you and Sam are such good friends. You know, how do you have that discussion?
Well, sometimes I get to take my kids on our adventures, and actually some people in the comments of that video where we go under the bridge have been concerned because they can hear a little girl yell help. I don't know, my kids were just playing a game and they were up on the bridge and you can hear my daughter yell help. So sometimes they come on the adventures with us, and when it's like a really difficult hike and I can't bring them, they're really bummed out because they're only 6 and 3. But I hope that exposure to Sam, like my friendship with Sam, and it makes them ask questions like, why does Sam talk funny? And what, like, I don't want them to be, I don't know, afraid to go up to a person in a wheelchair, especially when you get to like middle school and kids get mean and they make fun of people that are different. I want my kids to be the ones that stand up for and make friends with and invite those people to their birthday parties and stuff like that. So I hope that that's one thing that I can teach my kids about life, is like, you can be friends with anybody and everybody likes to be included. It doesn't matter if it's your college-aged blind friend or a kid in middle school, whether they have a disability or not, everybody wants to be included.
Yeah,
we all know how good that feels.
You know, I'm reminded of another, I haven't thought about this experience in a long time. When I was younger, I actually served a mission for the LDS Church and went to the MTC, and that's where your training center is. And I spoke Vietnamese. That's the language that I was taught. So I was in there for 8 weeks learning Vietnamese before I went off to Oakland to work with the Vietnamese refugees, because I was kind of on a service type mission as well as proselyting. But what was really cool was there was this companionship. The one guy had cerebral palsy really bad. He had it in one arm, on one side of his leg, in his arm, and he loved to play basketball. And his companion literally was 3 foot 8 inches. He had some diminutive disease where he couldn't grow past that. So, I mean, the first time I saw this odd pair together, I'm like, wow, that's an interesting pair. And then the next day we're out in the gym and this guy with cerebral palsy is playing basketball. And he's shooting, he's going around the corner, and somebody bumped into him. And I mean, they knocked him flat on his back. I mean, he just boom. And the entire gym just went quiet. I mean, it was like, oh my gosh, you knocked over the disabled guy? Oh, what'd you do? Right. I mean, just that heavy, uncomfortable silence. And this guy looked up, he goes, what is wrong with you? If I knocked you down, I wouldn't be stopping. Let's play some ball.
Yeah.
Right. And I love that attitude. It's like, you know what? Don't look at me different. Let's play. Let's be engaged. And and I think what you said there is really important is we need to expose our children to those experiences so that they can feel comfortable asking the right questions. Because I think a lot of times we just don't know how to start the conversation.
Right. Yeah. And people, nobody likes to be treated different, right? Like when I was in high school and I would see people go up to Sam and talk to him slow, that would drive me up. Just be like, oh, come on. And I'd go up and I'd punch him in the arm and call him a douchebag, because that's how kids in high school talk. That's how guys in high school communicate, show our love for each other in the 90s. I don't know how it is today, and Sam loved, more than anything, he loves to be treated like one of the guys and just to not be treated different and not be babied. And sometimes we'll have a caretaker come with us, or his mom will come with us on a hike. And we call that person the safety police. And I'm like, Sam, once in a while we got to go on an adventure without the safety police over there, so we can just go get a little banged up. There are some videos where we're going up some really difficult terrain and the chair like tips sideways and he falls and like lands on his face, and he laughs just as hard at that as anything else, because like any guy, you know how you'd like to go out and remind yourself you're alive a little bit, come home with some scratches and some bruises. He's just like that. He's just like a normal guy. His body just doesn't work as well as the rest of ours. So Sam likes to get banged up a little bit. So his mom,
his mom's like, no, not my boy.
let's wash you off a little bit before we get you home.
Oh, that's awesome. So, so you have 2 kids. You're having fun with your best friend. You're exposing your kids. What has been, you're an adventurous guy. Prior to getting on, you've been to Costa Rica and went all over the world, right? And now you're in this adventure of being a dad with 2 kids. What has surprised you most about having kids?
How much longer everything takes. Hey, let's get in the car and let's get going. If you're a single person or you're married with no kids, you could just jump in the car, and did you run out of eggs? You could just go get more eggs really quick. But when you have 2 kids and you have to buckle those kids in both their car seats, and then you have to stop and turn back and go and get the toy that they forgot, or otherwise they're going to be wailing for the next 15 minutes because you didn't get their toy. Everything just takes way longer, and that's something that I really struggle with. Like, can we just go, please? And you can't just go. So this one has this blanket and she has her toy, and so that like sometimes that's one of the things that sends me over the edge, and I go into drill sergeant mode and start all that yelling.
Well, I hate to break it to you, it doesn't get any faster even as they get older.
Even once they're out of car seats?
Even when they're out of car seats. In fact, I think it gets worse, especially if you have daughters and they're getting ready.
Oh, yeah. I do have one daughter, so
yeah, get ready. It's only going to get worse.
Yeah. Well, once she's old enough, I'll just leave her at home. Fine, we're ready. Guess you're not coming.
Too bad. We're going on an adventure with Sam and your brother.
Yeah, the 2 Sams.
That's awesome. So you have 2 kids, and you got the big surprise. What has been probably the most challenging thing being a dad?
I guess just staying patient when, things don't go the way you expect them to go as a dad. My daughter was really great on road trips when she was young. She was 4 months old, and I was like, let's go on a trip to, I think it'd be cool to take a 4-month-old baby to Four Corners so she could be in 4 states at the same time. So we did cool stuff like that. And then we had my son, and if you put him in a car seat, it was like a medieval torture device, and he would just scream for hours. My daughter would fall asleep, and he would just scream. And I was like, well, we're never going on a trip again, I guess. Never going on a road trip again. And he's older now, he can handle it. But that first one when he was young, I was like, it's just hard because there's things that I was passionate about doing. All those masks you see behind me are from a different country. I went on huge road trips when I was single. I rode a motorcycle from Utah to the Panama Canal and back and around the United States. And that's what I'm passionate about. And now it's just really hard to do that. My motorcycle collects dust in the garage because if I do get some time off, it just feels selfish to get on the motorcycle and leave my family home. So we have to go in the car and do stuff together. I'm rambling. I hope I answered your question, but
No, I love the way you went. It was kind of, and the people on the podcast aren't going to be able to see your faces. You were kind of reflecting as like, yeah, there were some good days when I was single and I could just go. Yeah. And now I'm adjusting to this crazy thing called kids in the car seat. And when you were talking about that, Judy and I, when we started having our kids, we live in Idaho and her family we moved to Idaho and then her family lives in the Bay Area. And we strategically said, look, instead of driving during the day, we're going to leave at night. We're going to go stuff their faces with Wendy's or whatever and let them watch 2 videos in our van. And then we're driving all night. They can fall asleep. Dad can have his caffeine and his Doritos and we're good.
Right.
and that was the only way that we were able to travel and keep our sanity.
The moment that I'm remembering when I decided we're never going on a road trip again was during the night, and he should have been asleep, and he wailed for hours anyways. And I was like, just get him out of the car seat. We're going to freestyle it the rest of the way home. And my wife really likes to follow the rules, and she wouldn't do that. So
yeah, well,
rough trip.
Fortunately, my wife will let me freestyle it, but yeah, it's a challenge. Yeah. In fact, we had one trip when we were going over the mountains from Reno to Sacramento. Chris, my second son, man, he got so sick. I mean, he was just projectile throwing it out everywhere, all over our 88 Chevy van. And so we had to pull over, unpack the entire back, get some clothes, get it all packed up, start it again like 30 minutes later, same thing. And, it's like, all right, I'm packing. And it's like 2, 3 in the morning. I'm tired. I'm like, oh, and the van is just stinking. It's like it was miserable. So, yeah.
As miserable as those moments are, they make the best stories. And that's what those trips are all about. Like my adventures when I was single, the most memorable moments were the worst moments when everything was going wrong. And those make the best stories. You're not telling stories about how much fun you had. You're telling the stories about the difficulties you had, and the stories are what travel's all about, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting because as much as we don't like the difficulty, it's really those moments that we discover something about ourselves as men and about ourselves as fathers. And that's probably the toughest thing in my experience, especially when we adopted our 2 kids. Bringing 2 kids into your home that were 8 and 9 and trying to blend those kids into your family and attach and all those things. And everything that I'd done with my other kids worked seamlessly. And now I have this completely new dynamic. It exposed the ugly characteristics that Jody has to like 100% level. I mean, it just explodes. It's like, oh, really? You can be very impatient. Dude, you need to bite your tongue. You need to keep your cool. And I think those challenging times, they're good for us, but they also expose our weaknesses. And the key is, can you be humble enough to really look at yourself and say, man, I didn't handle that well.
Right.
I need to go apologize to my kids and my wife probably because I was an ass.
Right.
And it's hard.
I had a moment that my daughter must have been 4 or 5, and who knows what they were doing, but I was off the handle, just yelling. Because I was in the Army, and for some reason, when things aren't going well in the Army, the way you fix them is by shouting louder. And that's what I start doing, and I wish I didn't, but I was shouting them about something, and my daughter goes, "I'm just a little girl," and I was like, oh, boy, that made me feel about this big, because I was like, geez, she's so right. She's just a little girl. I'm yelling at her like she's a private in the Army. And so I try to remember that more often. He's just a little boy. She's just a little girl. Their stuffy is the most important thing to them. And if you have to turn around and get it, then that's what you got to do, even if you're going to be late.
I love your openness, because I mean, really, and that's what I'm trying to discover as I talk to men is like, right, if we can truly look at ourselves and go, you know what, I have a character flaw, as arrogant and as proud as I want to be as a dad and think I have all the answers. Guess what? You get kids, you have no answers. It's a brand new adventure.
I know nothing.
So since you know nothing and you had this experience, what are some tips that you would have for new dads or current dads?
Oh, geez. Tips? I mean, you're going to need to cut this out while I think for 10 minutes about tips.
No, it's okay.
I don't know. Just remember that they're just little people. And if, as much experience as you've had in life and now you feel like you know nothing, well, they really don't know anything. They don't know. There's no such thing as common sense. A little kid doesn't know that you're not supposed to run across the street, or he doesn't know that it's not okay to take crayons and draw all over the wall. Like, they really don't know anything. And all those things are going to happen. And getting mad at them isn't how it's fixed. The way you fix it is you push them down the stairs, and so they no. The way you fix it is you just be patient, and you wait till they get old enough to realize that that's not the right way to behave. But it's going to seem like it's taking an eternity, but people tell me that it goes by too fast. I don't know. Right now, it doesn't feel like that, but I'm told once you look back, you're like, wow, my kids grew up so fast. But right now, I feel like, geez, this is taking forever.
Yeah, that's an interesting comment, because now my youngest two are 18, my oldest is 26, and I blinked and my daughters were 12. Yeah. I blinked again, and now they're heading off to college and finishing high school. And it can be, those moments can seem like you are trudging through the valley of death, and right. The demons are out to get you. And it's like you're just like, how am I ever going to get through this? But embracing those moments, those challenging moments, and really trying to learn and grow. I mean, straight up, we've had probably the most challenging 18, 19 months of our life in the last 18, 19 months. And it it's just dragged on, and we're like, how are we going to get through this? And because one of my sons is facing some really heavy challenges, and it's just you're going through it. It's like, man, is this challenge ever going to end? How are we going to get through this as a family so that it is good for him and for us? And what I've discovered through this experience in particular, and someday I'm going to talk about it online. I can't at this point, but what it has done is it has really pulled our kids together. It has unified them in a way that no other experience could have. It's taken the relationship that my wife and I have and really bonded ourselves to our son. And it's like, when I look at it, do I want to go through that experience? No. But do I like the outcome that has come as we've walked through that experience together and embraced that challenge together and said, you know what, no matter what, I'm walking this with you. And I don't have all the answers. Yeah. Me and mom don't have all the answers, but we're here for you. And it's, man, it can be a long, lonely road sometimes.
Yeah. I can't, yeah, it is. But I think there was a advertising campaign for Idaho to try and get people to come and visit Idaho. The one where they give you a free potato wasn't working. And so when you cross the border, so they switched. I think it was called 18 Summers. Do you recall this? It was you only have 18 summers with your kids, and 18 is not a big number. No. So I can totally see how it does go by fast. It was like, make the most of these summers, come to Idaho, or do, whatever you're going to do. But you'll still get a free potato if you go there, though.
Oh, man. Well, I've really, really enjoyed our conversation. I mean, I could talk about adventures and fatherhood all day because my kids are, in fact, you really ought to go see my latest TikTok that I just posted yesterday. My kids are always pushing the envelope when it comes to wake surfing. And I can't believe it. They were piggybacking and climbing on shoulders, but they actually stood on shoulders yesterday. I'm like,
wow. I think I saw that actually.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And I think that's the thing that I've really been reflecting on is, while life can be really challenging and it just seems like you sometimes don't have the answers as dad, and just it's like you're going through the desert, you got to find those moments when you're with your children and playing with them and just hold on to them and create them. And because if you can create them, your kids are going to look at those and they're going to remember the adventures they had, not the things that they had.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Please give your best friend, Sam, a shout out from us. The rest of you guys, please go check out Extreme Motus. Check them out online. Check them out on TikTok, Instagram. Their adventures of Ryan and Sam are really inspiring. They're engaging. They make you laugh. They make you go, is he going to fall out?
It has a seatbelt.
Yeah, because in fact, that one that you guys are going through the water, you kind of tilt like that. I'm like, is he going to roll? So yeah, it's fun. So
yeah, if you know somebody that uses a wheelchair, if you have kids in a wheelchair, go check it out. It's the perfect chair for a lot of people. They just don't know it yet. So
yeah,
thanks for having me on, Jody.
Well, thank you so much again. You guys that are tuning in every week, thank you so much for joining me. I want to extend the invitation for you guys to join our Facebook group where we're having men's only discussion, trying to have an open, raw, candid discussion about what it means to be a dad, because straight up, guys, sometimes we just don't even know who to talk to. And we're like, I don't have the answers and I'm going crazy. So come join us. And thank you for joining us every week right here on Father's Fire. We will check you guys same time, same bad channel, just next week right here on Father's Fire. See ya!